Hello, my name is Al Graham, and you're with People Advocating Cannabis Education. P.A.C.E is about promoting the benefits of cannabis, and we do this through public education as well as documentary movies. Today we are at the Grindhouse Cafe here in Campbellford, and I'd like to introduce to you a man by the name of Keith Fagin, a cannabis advocate who will talk to us about Erb4Herb as well as the 420 rallies, and what else he does with helping legalize cannabis. So I'd like to, at this moment, I'd like to say welcome, Keith Fagin.
Oh, thank you, Al. It's good to be talking to you.
Keith, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Whether you got any hobbies or any education on drug laws or anything like that?
Well, it's all self-taught with me. My hobbies have turned to activism on drug policy reform. Over 10 years ago, we've been, behind the scenes supportive and all out of NORML and the medical community locally and stuff like that. But we stayed, out of the radar. But in 2002, after many years of, not seeing us move forward, I decided that it's time for me to step out. And I took a week off work and went to the G8 summit here in Calgary and attended 7 days of protests and marches and spoke to activists, videotaped, and learned what they were doing and what seemed to be working for them before I decided to, get out there and start doing it myself publicly with protests and whatnot. So that's basically been my hobby since 2002, I guess you could say, is drug policy reform. And that's my main.
That's quite the hobby then. That's a good hobby to have.
Yeah, it certainly has been. But, we've had the ups and downs. There are struggles, certainly, but there's a lot of genuine jammies of people out there, I tell you, that encourage us to continue on with the struggle, my man. And that's why we don't let the negativity and the government and the police and all the suppression get us down. We just keep going because all the good folks out there.
That's right. Got to keep going no matter what they say. Oh, by the way, happy 420.
Happy 420 to you guys.
Yes, being it's the day after. Talking about the 420, how was the Calgary 420?
It was cold and snowy and windy, but and of course the authorities tried to suppress us. They blocked off the dance show with fencing this year. They had a pretty strong police presence. It basically boiled down to, we had the Erb4Herb advertising going on right up there, so and there was a lot of media attention we've gotten. So the authorities figured that they're going to put the safety of thousands of people at risk by trying to suppress us and stop us from doing the event. But it still went ahead. We put in 5 solid hours.
Good.
And it was very, very successful, in that aspect. And of course, we are going to, get after the authorities here about how they put a lot of people at risk over a celebration day that they know happens every single year at the legislature, and several thousands gathered there. So, I'm still on a big high from that. We still had a great, great time meeting everybody and enjoying the day with lots of good friends. But, now today we got to start focusing on going after the government for the suppression and making it unsafe for people at that event. It was definitely a concern.
Yeah, because you look at like your description there of Calgary with the police kept being involved, and then you look at what happened with Toronto and British Columbia and Vancouver there, and the size of the crowds that they had.
Yeah, exactly. Like even Vancouver, the police, there was a statement in there about not, interfering with what went on for the safety, because there's 10,000-20,000 people Vancouver gets. It's massive.
Yeah, I saw a picture that someone took from high above, and it was just a huge crowd. And the same thing at Yonge and Dundas Square in Toronto. Deb was at that event, and she says that they were just coming right out onto the street. There was the square was so full of people.
Sweet. That's Erb4Herb certainly helped out. But you've got dedicated activists out there. There's Matt and Chris and others, yourself and many others. And that's what's, making it grow every year. But certainly the Erb4Herb was a big boost, and we got to thank old Bob. I greatly appreciate that.
Yes. I'm going to get into Bob here in a few minutes. We'll discuss a little bit about him. As you can see, I got my Erb4Herb t-shirt here beside me. So, did you hear anything about the Ottawa Fill the Hill, how that made out? Have you heard anything about that?
Thousands of people showed up. you know, they have that issue where they can't erect tents or stuff like that. We did again. Well, this year we had that issue too. But anyway, you know, at least they have a podium, they have a PA, they have a good sound system so they can get a message to the crowd. And I think that's one of the most important things we need, and the government and the local officials need to allow to happen. It took years to get that in Calgary where we could have amplified, you know, speakers and that to be able to get the message to the people and help with crowd control and that. Although we are very peaceful and always our events across the country are never an issue, you know. But still, we do need that amplified music or amplified speakers due to all the people attending. And let's keep them safe and let's get the message out there and work with us. Don't try to fight us like they did in Edmonton. That's just sad.
That's right. Get, you know, allow it to keep going on, and it's obvious by the results at the end that any of that trouble that I think is going to happen never does happen. You know.
Exactly.
So
there was one arrest, but that was alcohol. You know, the guy was really drunk, and they did take him away. So.
Now, what about? Do you know how many of these 420 rallies were held across Canada? Got any idea?
There was over 30 that I'm aware of. Like BC, I think had 3 or 4 that I know of on the rally site. Alberta had 4 or 5. Ontario, of course, had a whack of. Like you guys had lots out there.
I can remember 10 years ago when I got involved in this stuff that there was only one here in Ontario. That was Niagara Falls.
That, eh?
Yeah.
And now you just got unbelievable amounts. Look, there's over 30 across the country here. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know, down east, I think they had Nova Scotia had one as well.
Yeah, you bet. There was a couple out there. Newfoundland had one. The Maritimes did really well this year, too.
Good. Do you think these events are being portrayed properly in the press? Like, do they highlight highlight the youth versus?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They take pictures of the kids smoking and, you know, save the children kind of attitude and headlines like one of the Vancouver headlines, hundreds? Come on. What do you mean hundreds attended? There was thousands and thousands there, obviously.
There was tens of thousands there.
Exactly. And they're saying hundreds
so obviously,
in the headlines.
The press is trying to maybe tone it down or suppress it a little bit, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
What about businesses? Even though like this product is illegal, but businesses that are benefiting from it. For example, in Toronto, they have to rent the Yonge and Dundas Square.
Right.
It's owned by somebody, so somebody's, you know, making money off of this. So businesses obviously benefit as well.
Well, certainly in the area there, they're going to be just flooded this year. Your sales would have been sky high for sure. And out here too, we've seen there's people flooding away from the legislature. A snowstorm blew in at 5. Somebody started to leave, and they were heading to the Starbucks. They were heading to the little coffee shops. They were going to spend money to munch out and drink coffee or hot chocolate or whatever it is they want.
So people are, you know, businesses are benefiting from it as well. So, you know, like, why can't everybody just benefit from it, you know?
Well, it's the government suppressing us, my man. You know, we know we've got the majority of people believe in what's going on because we do have the science and evidence. But it's the government we got to get after, and that's where we're back to fighting the government after the celebration yesterday. It's time to come back and say, hey, you guys, we're not going away. You're not going to stop us. We're going to keep going. You've got to listen to us.
Now, these the protesters that you're seeing at the events, are they mainly young people, older people, middle-aged?
It's a real big mix. You know, certainly there's a lot of young folks, at least at Alberta legislature, you know, there was a lot of young folks. But it's a mix. I'm over 50 years old, and a lot of our friends that came up from Calgary on the bus were over 50, and a lot of people drove up. Like, we had over 40 people representing from Calgary, and most of them were over 50.
The people that were older age going in there. That's good, because that's, you know, that's what we need, because like I mentioned about the youth, seems to be portrayed in the press, but yet, you know, we're seeing more people speaking up, and people that are our age that are showing these rallies. So it's great. Like yesterday in Peterborough, I arrived late, but when I did get there, there was a good mixture of all ages that were present. So.
Yeah, same here. It's good to see. You know, I know in the early days, like back in 2004, 5. It was mainly the youth. But, you know, and I tell you, Al, I've been seeing over the last, I'd say, 3 years, a lot of non-consumers stepping up. You know, you look at Kelly Coulter, people like that are stepping up and saying enough is enough. And you can't do anything to me. You can't arrest me. You can't drug test me. Or you could, but you're going to come up with nothing. So I'm not going to lose my job. I'm not going to lose my kids. So I'm going to stand up and speak up for those people because I believe in it. I know it's true.
That's good. That's what we need, you know?
Absolutely.
People speaking up. I'm just trying to move a screen around here a little bit. You mentioned the Erb4Herb. Erb4Herb. Can you fill us in on what Erb4Herb is all about and how it got started?
Well, Bob won, $25 million back in November of 2012. He was a marijuana party candidate in 2001. He's been an activist most of his life and sticking his neck out there. He's been a consumer for over 40 years like myself. And I got a call from him in December saying, hey, I want to get some drug policy people together. I want to get out here early in February. I realize it's short notice, but I want you to come and I want you to help me do this. And so my wife and I did go out there and spent 4 days with him with a bunch of other drug policy people, including Dana Larson and others. And we hammered out a deal that, we could do the 420s. Bob is big on the 420, and certainly many of us did try to encourage him to start up a foundation where some money was sitting in the bank and the interest off that money we could use for activism across the country, or at least put it in trust with one of the organizations, national organizations currently out there in Canada. But, he wasn't interested in that, and that's fine. So we're following his lead, and taking the $100,000 he donated for this year's 420s and spreading it out across the country. And obviously, it made it much better for everybody. Money's going to help a lot, whether it's advertising or your amplified equipment, etc. You know all that stuff yourself now. You've been involved in the events.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Did he set up a fund where businesses or people that are in this field, whether they could, donate towards that fund? But he hasn't done that yet. He's not interested.
Well, not so much that aspect of it, but he is funding Sensible BC big time. So if you give a donation to Sensible BC, he's going to, match your donation up to $500,000. And I know he's given Sensible quite a bit of money so far.
Yeah.
But so at least, he's big on Sensible BC, he's big on 420, and, he still wants to work towards continuing getting the message out, giving us people across the country, some funds to get the message out there. And next year, of course, this was back in February, so that gave us only a couple of months to get this together for this year. But next year will be, of course, much bigger. So we'll have a lot more time to do it.
Well, I know that while I was in Peterborough yesterday that I overheard some of the people saying that they didn't know that event had happened the last 4 years, even though that there was posters put out, but just the matter that through Erb4Herb that posters were produced for the Peterborough 420, and Blazing Wrinkles was able to get that all out around the communities and different towns and stuff, and people were able to see that, and that's what this person was commenting about, was that they couldn't believe how many posters they had seen this year because they hadn't seen any before. So, it just goes to show that it does make a difference.
Oh yeah, we got quite a few people coming up to me. I never knew about 420. This is my first 420 because of the radio advertising and also the media picked it up. We had radio, we had papers, we had TV, so we had the whole gamut of media coverage and that advertising. Like to say, it brings them out. It lets them know it's actually out there. Even though we are out there posting every year a lot, you get on the radios, the TV, and all that. It really does help bring the numbers up.
That's right. Yeah. More promotion so that more people can see it and it stays there longer too. So, now you mentioned he was going to get involved in the 420 events. Is there anything about the Cannabis Day that seems to be getting some steam rolling here?
Yeah, I really need to talk to him about that. Like, he's not even really aware of the GM. I mean, he is now, of course. But when we first met him there in February, everybody met him. He wasn't really aware of the GMM or Cannabis Day. Bob, we got to understand he's been in Terrace, BC, a small place, for over 40 years, and he doesn't travel a lot. Like, he doesn't fly across the country to, say, Ottawa for the events or stuff like that. So he's been kind of sheltered from the more national scene. You know, he's been more local and done quite well locally, of course. But so he's just learning about this stuff, and of course he's a busy guy, very loyal to his local community, spending a lot of money, you know, improving his community. You know, spending money on businesses so that the businesses can help improve their communities as well with the funds that he brings in.
Yeah, we watched a short video, about a 3-minute interview that he did with, I believe, with the lottery people themselves, and that's what he talked about, was helping people within his community and helping others that need it. So, you know, it's good that that he can do that.
Yeah, he's definitely genuine, my man. Those media reports are pretty much on the number there.
Besides the 420s, do you think he's going to get involved with any politics or the political stuff with, you know, we got 2 years coming up to the next election?
You know, I'm hoping, Graham, we have been advocating for a lot of stuff, a bunch of us that are working with Bob, like I'm taking care of the prairies in the Northwest Territories, we want that for him. Kelly's out east, and Chris Goodwin was helping with the posters and all that. And you know, a lot of us, Dana Lars and Philip Lucas, a lot of people that are really well known in the community and work well, have, you know, advocated as well. So, you know, we're going to keep on it. We're going to keep working with Bob. We're going to go back out in late August, early September, before the Sensible BC referendum really kicks off to get the word out and get people to do this. And talk to him some more, you know, and we're going to keep trying. But Bob, you know, he's set in his ways. He's over 60, and you know, us old guys forget life sometimes. They used to be a little stubborn, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I know how out west, it's been more like it's more 420 is their big time. This looks like the big celebration too. So I can see why he's geared towards 420 a lot too. What I was looking at was, as far as when it comes to the political end, part of this is to help get the vote out come election time. And being that cannabis is a big issue, especially with the like most of our voters that we seem to have are over 45 years of age, and the younger people, you know, even 30 years of age, not the youth I'm talking about, but people that are even 30, 32 years of age, they're not voting. Is this some way of them getting connected to the political end of it in order for them to get out and vote? You know, to make pot something, or, you know, cannabis something that's pushes them towards the ballot box.
Well, I think as activist advocates, we need to educate them. We do it at our rallies and that, you know, get on board with what, you know, whoever you're going to support. Like the Green Party, of course, has always had it in their policy to legalize, but you know, it's not very likely they're going to win any more seats than Elizabeth May has currently. So let's, you know, look at the Liberals. Let's pressure them. Let's pressure the NDP. Let's pressure even the Conservatives, you know, and pressure the kids to get out there and vote. It takes a few minutes. It's really easy. And give them the information. Like we had the Marijuana Party up there signing up people. Unfortunately, NDP wasn't that active up there this year. They usually are a lot more active, but you know, whether it was the weather or just organizational issues, I don't know.
Well, I know that Thomas McClare there has mentioned about wanting to study it even further, and I think some of us are going, well, a lot of studies have been done. Let's look at those studies and let's move forward in this instead of just staying where we're at or going backwards.
Well, the Special Senate Committee is 10 years old, September 2012. Come on, you know.
Yeah.
Prohibition's causing more harm than the plant. I like studies. They go back to the 1800s. We got more studies than enough quality, credible, evidence-based studies. So stop the nonsense, Montclair, and let's get on with this. Be a responsible adult, like you and I and others like us now. We're responsible adults. Come on, politicians, get responsible.
Exactly, and show some respect to us too.
Oh.
Before we move on from Erb4Herb, is there a website for Erb4Herb? Is there something that's been put together by the committee?
Just right now it's the rally one. We put up 420herb.ca, and it is a very simple site with some links to the terrorist community news articles, so you can get to know a little bit about Bob, right? He has Erb4Herb.ca. and they have some people working on that. Where that progress is right now, I don't know.
Okay.
But for now, if you want to find out more about Bob, go to 420herb.ca.
420herb.ca, yes. I read something in the National Post about $30,000 was spent, or something, $50,000 was spent on a website. So it'd be nice to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was a bit shocked about that. I'm not sure if the numbers are right, or I haven't talked to Bob here for a few weeks. He's been busy. I've been busy. So next time I talk to him, I'm going to ask him about that one. That's a
Yeah,
lot of money.
exactly. I believe my hat. We were down at Vapor Central a couple of weeks ago. 420 Deb and myself were doing a tour, and we had some friends with us, and they were down there. That's why I got the Erb4Herb cheap shirt, and I bought this hat in order to donate some money towards the cause. And it's it's so right, legalized to help pay off the debt, right? So.
Yeah, what's the deficit? Yeah.
You're also, besides Erb4Herb, you're also involved with NORML Canada?
Yeah, regional director for the prairies out here. I joined NORML Canada in November 2011, and we've been moving forward on that. We're trying to get more volunteers, which we are, and we're looking at an changing executive director. Our last one, Boris, stepped down, but he's still part of the NORML. He's in Quebec as a regional director. We've got Kirk in BC, Paul in Ontario. So we're getting our board of directors up and all that, running good. And we're moving forward with that. It's going to take some time, but this year is going to be a big year. With the financial support from Bob again is really helping us move forward a lot faster than previous years.
Yeah, finances is always a bit of a problem. If you don't have your finances, it's hard to get the word out and to do things. And that's where I always say, well, if they legalize cannabis, then you pull the money away from the criminal gangs, right? So they can't do things.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, what all is, like, do you have any idea what maybe some events that NORML might be involved in? Like, for example, yesterday at the 420 booth, there was a table off the side where an activist, Jennifer here in Peterborough, her husband had a little NORML booth, had a little banner there and stuff, and they had information to give out, so it was nice to see.
Yeah, we just got those banners done up here. Like I said, we've been moving forward. That funding was getting Bob Erb, and we got 9 banners out across the country. At the big rallies, at some smaller rallies, and we really appreciate Jennifer and all them standing up and supporting NORML and working and helping us to get the message out and move us forward.
So can anybody join NORML?
Absolutely, you bet. You go to the norml.ca website and you can join up there, and we have a volunteer survey if you want to fill that out and give us some more information, and then we can kind of tailor where your interests are and try to get you into something you're gonna be motivated and want to do and enjoy doing. It really helps a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess that would help you guys direct where to put your efforts towards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You're also involved with the Calgary420?
Yeah, like I said years ago, we worked with a lot of different people and people coming and going. And, if you go, sometimes people don't, want to agree or don't want to do this or that. And then, when Mark got busted with, Mark and Michelle and Greg got busted in 2005, everybody scattered. Like the marijuana party, everybody took on and said, no, we're not coming out. It's a DEA. So we said, okay, Debbie, we got to do something here. So we created Calgary420, and it wasn't supposed to continue on. It was only till like 2007. Hey, man, we're still here, guys. We went to the Smoke Out America protest in September for Mark and all that to show people they can't arrest us as long as we're peaceful, and doing our thing. And we figured by 2007 we could walk away, but it didn't happen, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah, it wasn't one time the Calgary420, I remember as the reefer reporter on Rock 107 covering a store that you had.
Well, we had an activist, and that's what we had. We a person that donated a place to us. It was a residential half duplex, but they donated to us, and we cleaned up the garbage and cleaned up the place. We could have it for 6 months. We ended up having it for 7 months, and that was our banner year, Al. I tell you, It was like having an activist center with posters and our information, usually the events. And that was our banner year. We went from 500-600 at our global march to well over 1,000.
Nice.
So, you know, that's something we need to focus on is if we can get somebody to help us have a small office that can be manned by volunteers where we can have our past posters up there and people can see, yeah, there is history. These people are getting arrested. They're doing good things, and I'm going to do it too because it encourages them. So we can try to get, and I've been trying to get Bob to do that for us too. That's another thing is put a few bucks into an office at least in Ottawa or something.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
the population is in Ontario and the politicians are in Ottawa. So let's get a small office there to start with.
In order to set something up and so people have a contact place to you know, get information and education and stuff.
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's see what else I got offhand. Okay. Websites. Okay, we mentioned the NORML website, normal.ca.
Yep.
Right. We talked about Erb4Herb website. Is there anything else offhand that you'd like to discuss and talk about?
Well, you know, you touched on the political end there and getting the youth out there. That's something else we're going to work on. And I really agree with you there strongly. You know, we've all tried. Come on now, we know that, and there's a lot of history of that.
There is, yeah.
And we just got to keep trying different things and keep trying things that do work and just stick to it, guys. And, you know, remember all the genuine gems out there. And when things get a little negative, think of those genuine people, the ones that you really do support and do good work for everybody. And it does help pick you up and help keep you going. And we don't want to keep losing good people, you know. We want to keep encouraging people.
Yeah, it's nice to, you know, when you can do a lot, and sometimes you wonder whether there's anybody ever out there listening, and then all of a sudden, you know, like yesterday, I had a young lady telling me I was at a memorial service before I went to the 420 in Peterborough, and the young lady, the memorial service was for her father, and she talked about how she had heard about the stuff that I was doing through one of the stores, and all the good comments that was coming from this store about the stuff that we've been doing. So it's good to hear the feedback from other places that what you are doing, even though that you may not hear about it very often, there are you know, there are people out there that are trying to make the difference.
Well, you know, you got to know in your heart, man, you are doing good and lots of your friends are doing good out there, but it is nice to hear it. Come on, I like to hear, you know, a little encouragement once in a while, you know.
Right.
And we get the same thing. It's, you might not see it right then, but maybe a month or a week or even a year or two later, you'll hear something and, oh, I affected their life positively. And you know, let that good feeling flow inside you and keep doing it.
Exactly. And the more people who speak up, you know, the better we'll all be. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, Keith, I'll take this moment to say thank you to you for taking time to educate everybody here about the Erb4Herb and the 420. I'd also like to thank Gerhard and the staff here at the Grindhouse Cafe in Campbellford and everyone present on YouTube that watches these videos for participating and for being people advocating cannabis education. Thank you, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks,